Welcome to episode 1 of Your Body Isn't Broken. I'm Dr. Jamé Heskett, physician, author of The Well Path, and someone who's spent over 30 years helping women understand how their bodies actually work. And more importantly, how to work with them, not against them. This podcast is built on a simple idea that your body isn't actually broken. It's responding exactly the way it was designed to based on the environment you give it. We've been taught to believe that if we're tired, gaining weight, inflamed, or developing disease, that something is wrong with us, that we need to fix it, hack it, override it. But what if that's not true? What if your body isn't failing you? It's actually just adapting to signals it's receiving every day. Because your body is not random. It's incredibly intelligent. It's designed for balance, what we call homeostasis. And when it's in that state, it does what it was built to do. It repairs, it regulates, it protects, it heals. The problem isn't that your body is broken. The problem is that the environment most of us are living in, the way we eat, move, sleep, and manage stress, is constantly sending signals that push the body out of balance. And then we look for solutions outside of ourselves. The next diet, the next supplement, the next magic bullet. But lasting health, real health, doesn't come from force. It comes from creating the right environment consistently. And that brings me to what I want to talk about today. Because when people realize this, their next instinct is often to do everything at once, to overhaul their entire life overnight, to go all in. We've all been there, especially on January 1. But that's not how the body works. And more importantly, that's not how change works. We've all heard the phrase, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But when it comes to your health, I'd say it a little bit differently. The journey to a vibrant, resilient body, a body that is energized, balanced, and free from disease, begins with a single consistent signal. Because it's not the big dramatic changes that transform your health, it's the small ones, the ones you repeat, the ones you can actually respond to, the ones that build over time. So in this episode, I want to talk about why small steps are more powerful than big leaps, how your body actually responds to change, and how you can begin creating an environment that allows your body to do what it was designed to do: heal, regulate, and thrive. There is a particular energy the moment someone decides to transform their health. It feels like a promise, a moment where we stand up, look forward, and decide this time will be different. We make a plan full of resolutions, to-do lists. We imagine how happy we'll be when we become that future version of ourselves. More disciplined, more committed, more satisfied, more alive. We see it so clearly. Meal prepping all those Instagram recipes we've saved, going to the gym 6 days a week, meditating every morning and night, doing our skincare routine consistently, reading all the books stacked on our nightstand, maybe even handstanding in yoga class, living a better life. And this desire, it's real. It comes from something sincere, a deep yearning to become the version of ourselves we've been holding on to, sometimes for years. A refusal to stay stuck, a refusal to settle for a life that doesn't feel aligned. There's a sense that we are capable of more, of something better. And that instinct, it's right. The desire for change is not the problem. The fact that you can imagine a different life and want to move toward it, that is actually one of the most beautiful parts of being human. But where things begin to break down is not in the desire. It's not in the motivation. It's in the way that we try to execute it. Because hidden inside this powerful decision is almost always an excessive demand. We don't just want to change. We want to change now. We tell ourselves we'll start tomorrow, and tomorrow will be perfect. So the night before, we eat the pizza, we eat the ice cream. Because tomorrow, that version of us doesn't do that. Tomorrow, everything changes. But we're not actually trying to take a step forward. We're trying to make a leap. We don't want the process to unfold. We want to rip the Band-Aid off. We don't want to begin a journey. We want to arrive immediately, or maybe even yesterday. When we look at the distance between where we are and where we want to be, we try to bridge that gap with effort, with force, with intensity, instead of patience, instead of understanding, instead of grace. We believe that if we just want it badly enough, we can compress time, that sheer willpower can override biology. But in that very moment, we are quietly planting the seeds of failure. I've seen it time after time after time again over the 30 years. Because deep down, underneath the excitement, you already know. You know that this kind of change doesn't hold, that going from 0 to 60 burns out very quickly and leaves you right back where you started. Maybe even a little bit worse because now you're dejected and feel like a failure. And if you pause there in that knowing, you start to see something important. It's not your lack of discipline. It's not that you're failing. It's that in our rush to change everything, we neglect the one thing that actually creates change: the small step. The small step is a force we almost always ignore because it seems too simple, too quiet, too unremarkable. And honestly, it runs completely counter to everything our culture has taught us to value, all the noise that we're hearing. But in nature, the small step is the only path to lasting, stable change. If you think about it, water droplets, so small they seem insignificant, and yet over time they carve canyons, they shape valleys, they sculpt entire landscapes of breathtaking beauty. Or a tree that begins as a single seed, day after day, growth so subtle, so small, no instrument could ever measure it. And yet over time, it becomes strong, rooted, alive, stable. The body transforms in the same way, step by step, breath by breath, movement by movement. Each one seems trivial, but each one counts, and each one is indispensable to the transformation of the whole. This is one of the most underestimated forces that exists because it doesn't capture attention. It doesn't perform well on social media. It doesn't spark debate. It doesn't sell products or promises. It works quietly, without fanfare, without recognition, and often without immediate visible results. No one applauds the small step, but it accomplishes something that hacks, heroic efforts, and quick fixes never can: lasting change. And the reason this works is because this is exactly how your body was designed to respond. Your body was designed to heal itself, to regulate, to adapt, to restore balance. But when we try to change everything at once, the body doesn't accelerate. It resists. The mind becomes exhausted. Willpower begins to crumble because the gap between what we are demanding and what the body perceives feels like an assault. And that assault creates tension, and tension does not create change. Tension creates defense. It creates resistance, it creates sabotage, and ultimately it leads to abandonment. So what stops this overnight transformation is not weakness, it's intelligence. It's your body doing. And when you understand that, everything begins to shift. Because now the question is no longer, how do I force change? It becomes, how do I create the, because it thrives in balance. What we're really talking about here is homeostasis, a state where the body feels safe, regulated, and stable. And when the body is, it heals, it restores, it processes information clearly, not defense. But most of that constantly signals the opposite. Too much intensity, too much change, too much force. And the body responds. This is why small steps matter so much, because small changes feel like a threat. They send gentle, consistent signals. And over time, those something incredibly important, a sense of safety. And when the body feels safe, it begins to relax. It begins to trust the environment it's in. Natural pace. The pace of healing. This is what small steps are really doing. They're not forcing change. They're nudging balance back into homeostasis. And when the body is in that state, everything starts to work the way it was meant to, the way you desire your body to work. Energy becomes stable, sleep becomes deeper, appetite regulates, mood evens out, clarity improves, resilience increases, stress you. Your metabolism becomes more efficient. You begin to release your needs. Fat, inflammation dissipates. Pain goes on the outside too. Skin, hair, nails, of your eyes. These all reflect what's happening internally. You feel more like yourself. And this isn't because you forced your body into change. It's because you finally created the conditions along. Because once you understand that your body isn't broken and that it responds to small, consistent forward becomes much simpler. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need power. What you need is a way to, and then the next. And that's what this podcast and everything is here, one step at a time. I call this the change methodology. And at its core, it's built on something very simple. That lasting transformation comes from small changes applied can actually respond to. Because the beauty of small, you can do them every day. They don't disrupt your life, require you to become a different, they don't create rupture. And they become habit. And once something becomes habit, and the truth is about 90% of optimal, consistent, not from extreme, not from doing more, but from doing the right things consistently over time. So if there's one thing I want you to take from this first episode, it's this. You don't need to begin. The journey to a healthy begin with force, the signal, and then another. And I'll walk you through all of that, step by step. Small signals, big biological change. And I will challenge you after this first podcast to find one change in your life, one thing that you want to get. And I want you to just work on the first step towards that change. Don't spend more than 10 minutes on it, but do it every day. Don't do all the things, just do one small thing towards that goal that you want to set for yourself. And if you don't know what that first step might be because you've always leapt to the end result, go ahead and leave what your goal is in the comments and I will respond with what I think